Welcome back to Theory Hammer, 40k Theorists, where today we're going to be taking a look at these new primary and secondary missions that have been teased by GW. So, if you guys like that kind of content, you know what to do. Thunderhammer the like button, subscribe, hit Nurgle's bell icon, leave a comment, and check out our other videos as well. Let's just get right to it, because these are pretty exciting, and there's a lot to unpack here. So we got the Pariah Nexus mission deck. That's going to be the next mission deck for the next season of Warhammer 40k. And this is what they have previewed so far. So I'm not going to read all this shit that they wrote here. I'll put a link in the description, I think. I'll try to remember to do that. So the first thing that they show us today is raise banners. At the end of each, so this is a mission rule. At the end of each player's turn, if a battle line unit from their army is within range of an objective marker that that player controls, that unit raises a banner on that objective marker. That player scores 1 victory point counted toward their secondaries, and that player's unit can no longer raise a banner on that objective marker. So I'm not exactly sure if this just stays raised or if it stays raised for the turn. I don't think it's very clear, personally. At the end of each player's turn, if a battle line unit from their army is within range of an objective marker that player controls, it raises a banner on that objective marker. You score a victory point. The thing that I'm not sure about is because it says, and that player's units, plural, can no longer raise a banner on that objective marker. So I think it stays raised, and you gain a point once. You don't gain a point at the end of every turn, or that you have one raised. It's not like a cumulative thing that you could just continue to get. I think you just get 1 extra victory point for each one that you do. Okay, that's raised banners. So I need a little clarification on that. I don't quite understand if it's something that you just can't ever do again, because it just says, and that players' units can no longer raise a banner on that objective marker. So if I raise a banner on the objective marker, my units can never raise another banner on that objective marker again, even if you come over to it and raise your own banner on it, because my units have already raised a banner on it. That's how I read it, so I need some clarification there. Next up, we got another mission rule. So, rapid escalation. In the first battle round, each player can set up battle line units from strategic reserve in the reinforcement step of their movement phase. In the first battle round, they can set up, so if they do, those units must be set up wholly within 6 inches of any battlefield edge, and no model in those units can be set up within enemy deployment zones. The total points of the units a player can set up this way cannot exceed 10% of their total points limit for the chosen battle as shown below. So for a strike force, which is what we care about, that's going to be 200 points worth of battle line units that you can just put on the table turn 1. Interesting. That's a pretty interesting mission rule. You're going to notice that a lot of these are built around battle line stuff. So we're going to see a theme here with battle line, and this changes a whole lot of stuff. This changes, I'll get to that kind of towards the end. This changes so much because a lot of armies can then, like that have good battle line, can just spam it and just win the missions really easily. So we'll kind of discuss that after we talk about all the other things. So Terraform is a primary mission that they've just revealed. This has an action, which was something that was in like 9th and in 8th, certain like missions. They weren't really actions, but they were basically actions. But they actually made this word like a keyword now. So Terraform is an action, and this is your primary mission. It starts during your shooting phase. One or more units from your army, each within range of a different objective marker that is not within your deployment zone and has not been terraformed. This completes at the end of your opponent's next turn, or at the end of the battle, whichever comes first, if the unit performing this action is still within range of the same objective marker, and you control that objective marker. So this isn't necessarily easy to do, but each of those objective markers will become terraformed. That's what happens. Now, from the second battle round onward, at the end of the command phase, or at the end of the 5th battle round if you're going second, so kind of standard stuff there, the player whose turn it is scores victory points as follows, up to 15 per turn. 4 victory points for each objective marker they control, and then 2 victory points for each objective marker that they have terraformed during the battle. Note, the above victory points are cumulative. So a player who controls one objective marker that they have also terraformed will score 6 victory points that turn. Immediately what I think about here, Black Templar scouting up with like 60 dudes, or something like World Eater, something that can just push right into the midfield. and just terraform stuff on turn 1. If you can terraform 3 different objectives and actually survive and control them, which is very difficult to do, but if you can just do that, well, that's half your primary score right there. You just automatically get it. It's 4 points a turn, or 6 points a turn after that point. So from turns 2, 3, 4, and 5, you're gonna get 6 points just for existing. So that's 24 points out of 50. So this is gonna really, really benefit somebody who's going first and somebody who has like armies in general that just have a ton of scouts and a ton of stuff that's really fast. It's also gonna maybe benefit things that have a lot of really tough, durable things. Imperial Knights might like this a lot because they have a bunch of battle line. Chaos Knights are gonna love this a lot because their war dogs are all battle line, and that's what most tournament armies play. Like, I like the big ones, but I don't play them in tournaments. So tournament armies, for those types of things, yes, this is great. I actually have a little bit of a problem with this because of that being the case. Really, really good for the army that's going first. Really, really bad for the army that's going second, depending on the matchup and depending on like how armies are going to end up getting constructed now, because everything's about to change, especially with like orcs. Orcs have a ton of battle line stuff, and we're going to see a lot of this stuff revolve around battle line. So we're going to see a huge shift in the meta, a total 180 most likely. So something like this is very, very badly designed, I think, because it just makes whoever can really just take advantage of the terraforming first, there's not much that you can do about it at that point, and they're just going to get those points. So we'll see how it goes. It seems a little lopsided, but that's what you get for terraform. All right, so moving on. This is a secondary mission that they have revealed. It's called March for Death. When drawn, your opponent must select 3 units from their army on the battlefield. If there are only 1 or 2 units from their army on the battlefield, they must select those units. If there are no units from their army on the battlefield, discard this card and draw a new secondary. Okay, because you do still keep playing if somebody's tabled, I think. So this is pretty straightforward. You pick 3 of your units, and your opponent's got to kill them. 1 or more of the selected units was destroyed or removed from the battlefield for any other reason during this turn. The opponent gets 5 victory points. So this, immediately when I read it the first time, I was like, ooh, that seems not great. Because you're just going to pick like some lone op characters or things in the backfield that you can't really get to anyway. So I don't think this is very good, especially early on, like turn 1, maybe turn 2. This is going to be pretty much a discard for a CP. Or you'll pay a CP to regenerate something, because this just isn't, it's very difficult to do. When I have full control over what you get to pick, that makes it much, much harder to achieve. So that's all I think about it. I think it's kind of a hard secondary to achieve overall. So I'm not a big fan of that one. All right, so here's some new secret mission things. Now, we'll actually read how these work. Unlike gambits they replace, secret missions are kept hidden from your opponent until the end of the game. And with 4 secret missions to choose from, it'll take some on-the-spot deductive skills for them to figure out exactly what you're trying to accomplish and thwart your cunning agenda. At the end of the 3rd battle round, starting with the player who went second, you can choose to undertake a secret mission if your victory points from the primary mission are less than or equal to your opponent's. So if we both have like 20 points on turn 3, the person who went second picks first, and then the person who went first picks second, I guess. There's no random draw. Just pick 1 card from your secret mission deck and hide it. At the end of the game, if you've completed its special condition, you'll earn a juicy 20 victory points. There is some risk to go with the reward, though. If you pick a secret mission, you cannot score more than 20 victory points from your primary mission. You can normally score up to 50 from the primary mission, so opting for a secret mission will limit you to 40 victory points total from both, even if you succeed, and you'll need to decide if the primary mission is a lost cause before making that last-ditch tactic switch for points. The secret missions themselves are each distinct enough that a canny opponent can guess what you're trying to do, so you'll need to obfuscate your movements to slip it past their notice. Yeah, okay. Command Insertion. Rewards a sudden dash to seize the enemy deployment zone with your Warlord. especially good for fast-moving characters or units that can redeploy mid-battle. While War of Attrition instead wants you to eliminate or push back the enemy battle line units while smothering your territory with your own. Alright, so these are our secret missions that they've revealed. You have the Command Insertion. This happens at the end of the battle, like all of them. You get 20 victory points if your warlord is within range of one or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone that you control. So, basically what this wants you to do is just beeline your fucking warlord right over to their objective and try to control it at the end of the game. Pretty easy to spot, if I'm being honest. Like, oh, your warlord's moving towards my objective. I wonder what your secret mission is. So, okay, that's what that one is. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. Then you have War of Attrition. This happens also at the end of the battle. Now, this happens if one or more battle line units from your army are within your opponent's deployment zone, and one of the following conditions applies. There are no battle line units from your opponent's army on the battlefield. Every battle line unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield is within your opponent's deployment zone. So consider that we're picking these because we're down. We're saying screw the primary mission. We're not going for that anymore. We suck at this game. We need to try to throw our warlord at you or try to kill all your battle line and all that sort of stuff. So these are hard to achieve because you're going to be down already. Having to destroy all of the opponent's battle line units or have them all in their deployment zone, like the all in their deployment zone thing, they have complete agency over that. It's never going to happen anyway, for the most part. No, I don't think that that's what you do. Destroying all of them, that's also pretty difficult, especially if they do have stuff in their backfield where they're just kind of hiding it around. So, because all they have to do at the end of the game is just move one of their battle line, like move their battle line units out of their deployment zone, and then it doesn't matter at that point. So this is hard to do, but it's not a bad one to choose, especially if the opponent doesn't have a whole lot of battle line units, which we probably won't see too often now because the game is going to be completely different. But if that's the case, if your opponent's just playing I table you and I win type army, if you can try to kill all their battle line units, then that'd be an interesting one to pick. Now, once you start going after the battle line units, it starts becoming pretty obvious, you know, what you're trying to do, and they'll just hide them at that point. So, still better than the Gambits. The Gambits were impossible. They were so dumb. They were like, go to this place and roll dice, and maybe you'll win. It's just so stupid. So this one is Shattered Cohesion is next. This happens at the end of the battle, and there are no units from your opponent's army on the battlefield. You gain 20 victory points. So if you table your opponent, which you would just win the primary anyway, you get a 20-point thing. Or every unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield meets one of the following conditions. They're battle shocked, they're below half strength, they're more than 3 inches away from all objective markers. If the 3 inches away from all objective markers wasn't in there, then this might be possible. Otherwise, this is garbage. Don't ever pick this one. Don't ever pick this one. If you're tabling your opponent, you just win the game anyway, like I said. Or if you're trying to battle shock all their stuff and get everything in their army below half strength and off of objectives while you're down, yeah, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're never going to do it. So ignore that one as well. The last one we got is Unbroken Will. This happens at the end of the battle. This happens if you control 3 or more objective markers that are not within your deployment zone. So if you're really down on primary, I actually really like this one. A lot, actually. So this is great for me because I'm just going to play super duper KG the whole game and try to just make it so that you kill as little as possible. And then I'm going to charge up on the last turn. I'm going to just put basically my entire army that's still alive on these 3 objective markers and hopefully be able to win the game that way. It's endgame points. It's endgame objectives, and I really like endgame objectives. I like having secondaries be stuff that you have to do during the game that's very impactful. Like, if I were to make a game, which I am doing, you have to have a primary mission that is like something different than the secondary mission. So I think what you do is you have secondary missions where it requires you to go out around the board and do all your cool stuff. Your primary mission is the one where at the end of the game, you take a look and you say, did we complete our primary goal here? So that's how I see it. So something like this is really appealing to someone like me because I want to get on those objectives at the end of the game and get all my points that way. I want to make it so I can hide and outplay you that way, make it so you can't really get to my units and interact with them, and then when I'm ready, I move out and I get onto this objective at the end of the game. I love it. I'm not sure everyone's going to love it though. And it's also, I'm making it sound like way easier than it is because the table's small, you know, things can get around where they need to a lot of the times, and it's hard to hide the entire game. It's easy to hide on turn 1, it's easy to hide on turn 2, it becomes hard to hide after turn 3 when things start spreading out. So, or turn 2 and onward, really. So yeah, it's gonna be difficult to do, but I think certain armies are gonna really enjoy this because they can just be mean bricks that you cannot fucking get through. And then at the end of the game, they're just gonna lumber up and stomp on those objectives and just be like, I'm here, I have more OC, I win. So I like this one a lot. And that is actually all of them. I just scrolled down a little further and I was like, oh, it's the bottom. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. We see a huge emphasis on battle line units from a bunch of different areas. We have battle line stuff here, we have battle line stuff for that. So let me know what you guys think about these. I'm pretty excited for this. There's some armies that are gonna benefit a lot more than others, like Black Templar, Orcs, Knights, Chaos Knights, things with really good battle line units. They're gonna benefit the most from this. I am totally gonna print up 60 Primaris Crusaders and just scout them up 6 inches, probably in rhinos, and just put them on the objectives, and then I'm gonna be like, terraform, 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 terraform. I'm just gonna terraform all the objectives, and then I'm just gonna win the game. Or I'm just gonna make an army that just sits back and just blobs up at the end of the game, because those secret missions that you choose, those are every game. Doesn't matter what the mission is. So I like that a lot. But you're going to see a lot of battle line changes. You're going to see complete overhauls of armies, especially with orcs coming out because of the 120 boys being basically impossible to deal with, alongside the mega noms being impossible to deal with. Armies just have to change in order to be able to deal with something like that. So we're going to see some pretty exciting times moving forward. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a comment down below, thunderhammer the like button, subscribe, hit Nurgle's bell icon, do all that shit, and I'll see you guys in the next one.